What is up, y'all? It is Thursday. It is 5 o'clock, and it is time for our live hangout and Q&A. Well, I hope you all had a good week, and we're back to Thursday. So this is Dylan Talks Tone, guitar channel. So we have techie videos on Tuesday, we have live videos on Thursday, and we have a vlog on Friday. Tomorrow's vlog, kind of the main subject of it, just to give a little sneak peek, is going to be the difference between P90 pickups. So we're going to talk about that kind of as we work on some other stuff. I think you'll dig it, so check out that video tomorrow. For those of you that are new to the channel, you can jump in this chat over here and ask questions if you want. Leslie's back there, and she will be picking those out for me when I am not actually staring at the screen, as well as picking out super chats and that sort of thing when we do get them, as well as oh, and then the other thing is we're going to go over here to Patreon in just a minute. You can go to patreon.com/DylanTalksTone, and you can ask questions and all that kind of stuff, and I will feature them during this live chat, at least to make sure that you get them in there. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we miss them because there's so many people, so it's kind of fun. So I tell you what, let's just get right into it. I just noticed somebody in the chat, I think Fred, mentioned that Chick Corea died, which I did not know until he mentioned it. I was just looking on the internet right before we went live that he died of cancer this week. So if you don't know who Chick Corea is, Google him and you will probably recognize some of his music. He's a jazz composer, and he's probably had, I mean, he's a contemporary of all of us because he just passed away, but he still had like standards, like jazz standards that we just all go, oh yeah, that's, you know. So definitely check it out when you get a minute. Go on YouTube, find some music. His stuff is covered everywhere and imitated everywhere. So yeah, just found that out. I didn't know that. I'll tell you what, let's jump straight into our questions and answers from Patreon, and then we will get into the chat because there wasn't any on YouTube. Because I checked YouTube members as well, but there wasn't any over there just a few minutes ago when I looked. So let's see. Would you consider having your pickups reviewed by other YouTubers, like you did a bit with Dan from Guns and Guitars for that Slant 6 bass prototype? Folks like Phil McKnight and Daryl Braun have quite a following, and your P90 or Center Punch would kick ass big time on anyone's channel. I have considered it, but I am not they would have to ask. I'm not a person that goes and like pedals that kind of stuff. I mean, even on our own channel, I don't pedal it that much. Basically, I talk about it once in a while. We talk about it during the vlogs and stuff. And I will tell you, yeah, buy our stuff. But I'm not a big, I just have never been that person to go and like, hey, you should try my stuff. Hey, you should try my stuff. I've just never really been like that. The whole thing has kind of gone sort of word of mouth. And I like that better because the customers that really like our stuff talk about it, and which everybody does. I don't know that I've ever gotten anybody that said I didn't like what I got. So, you know, I kind of do that instead. And we also don't really have like endorsements and stuff. I used to, so we don't like give away a lot of product because it doesn't always work out. I'm not afraid of what people will say about the products because I know that my pickups are good. I have 100% confidence in that. But a lot of times when people expect things for free they will expect more from it. It's a weird thing. So I don't typically do that. It's also why I don't ask a whole lot for my own channel, which I probably should, but I just don't. I'm just not one of those expect things for free kind of people. So anyway, that's an interesting question though, and I appreciate you bringing it up, because people have asked me and wonder about how, why we do that. Even a lot of the review stuff that we have now, I buy all of it. I don't actually ask for it. I have a couple things coming up. I have another microphone review coming up where the company said, hey, I have this microphone, I want you to test it. I am very interested in it. I say no to them all the time. We get all kinds of like Amazon products wanting us to review things, and I always say no to them because they're cheesy or they're cheap or they're not that good. But this one I'm interested in. It looks fascinating to me. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be any good or not, but it looks interesting. So they are sending me that. So we'll see what happens with that thing. I don't know though. We'll see. What is a good place or places to order quality electrical components, pots, caps, output jacks, etc., and wiring in bulk? I'm looking for the best deal. Ben, and I know you're trying to get your guitar building off the ground. WD Music, but they require a bit of volume, and tax ID and all that kind of stuff. WD Music is a big one. A lot of people use them. My favorite thing for caps and pots and stuff is actually CE Distribution. I think they're in Texas, maybe. And that's like where I get all my orange drop caps and stuff. They're really good. Their stuff is really good. They got a lot of things. And they will do bulk stuff. That's also where we got, like, when we were making guitar cables, that's where we would get like the ends for them. Not the cable itself, but the ends and stuff like that. So some of those parts, those are pretty cool. I would try those two places for sure. I don't know how much volume you have to do to get a discount on stuff. I'm not sure about that. I've just been doing it so long that I don't know, I just order and stuff shows up. So I couldn't tell you. It's been a long time since I looked at the actual like criteria and stuff, because that was a long time ago for me, so I can't remember. Just call them up and ask them. CE Distribution and WD Music. Those would be the two things I would check. Let's see. If the action on an acoustic is too low, would a shim made of some hardwood veneer work under the saddle, or is a new taller saddle the only right way to go? You answered your own question. There will be many people who will jump in the comments and say, I did it this way and I got away with it. Or I am too cheap to buy a new saddle, or there is a cheaper way. The right way is to replace the saddle. And fortunately, saddle material is not expensive. It's only like, you can get stuff off of Amazon for $10. You could probably get 3 or 4 saddles. So, and most guitars have like a kind of a preset design that you just have to tweak a little bit when you put it in the guitar. So just measure it up, order some stuff. I know your Amazon might not work for you because you're in Belgium, I think, but for most of us, it's super easy to get a saddle and just do the right one and take the measurements. Plus you're learning it, you know what I mean? You're learning it. When you stack stuff, it just doesn't work as well. So I would definitely do it the right way. Phil says, I got a Tele style guitar with humbuckers. It has a split coil push-pull on the tone knob for single coil sounds. Okay. What would you need to do to be able to have the bridge in split coil and the neck in humbucker, or vice versa? Is it just as simple as replacing the volume pot with a push-pull, or is it more intricate? No. So you're exactly right. You're answering your own question too. So basically, you would, in order to do that, you would just have another push-pull on your other knob on a Tele, and be able to just do it separately. I personally, most of the time, just do a master, where it coil splits both the pickups. But if you want them separately, you'll have to do 2 switches. That's the easiest way to do it. Yep, that would be awesome. That makes total sense. So, Charles, I was watching one of your videos where you built a set of humbuckers, and I had 2 questions pop into my head at the same time. That is scary in itself. But here they are. Why in 2021 are regular flat slotted screws still used in humbuckers? A Phillips would seem more practical and easier to work with during assembly. The answer is tradition, and because people would then get on the internet and ask it's not a dumb question, but it would end up being a dumb question. Or they would, I know people, I'm just going to say this. I know people who think that if you switched it to Phillips, that you would hear a difference in the sound of the pickup. It's the dumbest thing ever, and it doesn't make sense. Well, I mean, I guess it could if you made it up and made it sound right. It's just a tradition thing, and it's availability too. Those Philister screws that's the standard. I hate them too. I 100% hate them. But the problem is if I changed them, then people would be like, well, it doesn't look right, or whatever. They'd make up some sort of tradition answer, and so that's the only reason you use them. I actually, for a long time, had 2 pickups that we used Torx for the same reason you just bring up, because it's easy. Because I can, I can run them in there and no problem. You get good at using the flatheads, but I'm not gonna lie, I have scratched a few bobbins and had to throw them away because it slips off and hits the pickup or something, and then yeah, so it is a pain, but it's just a tradition thing, really. Why do all single coils only have slugs? Not all single coils do have slugs, so P90s don't have them. It just depends on what the magnet is. So the slugs, quote unquote slugs that you're referring to, like in a Telecaster or a Strat, those are the actual magnets. Where in a humbucker, what you see on the top of the pickup is not the actual magnet. The magnet sits underneath it, and then the slugs and the screws go up and they touch the magnet on both sides underneath. P90 is similar. P90 is in the middle, the screws are in the middle, and there's 2 magnets on the bottom. In fact, if you watch our vlog video tomorrow, I dive into how a P90 is constructed, and you'll see that the magnets are not the actual slugs that you see on the top of the pickup. Those single coils you're referring to, that is the actual magnet. It's a rod magnet. I have some pickups over there that I made today that I could show you, but you'll see them in the video tomorrow, so check that out. Hey Dylan, I have a 2017 Epiphone SG. I love the tones from it, even though I don't play it frequently. Last time I played it, I noticed that the pickups from Microphonic. Is it possible I just never noticed this before, or could something have happened that made them Microphonic? Yeah, this is a great question. So they can become Microphonic. Usually what it is it's usually the cover comes unstuck from the wax inside the pickup. So when you make the humbucker, the cover slides down on top of it. And when they wax pot it, there's usually like a thin layer of wax that builds up on the top of the pickup, and it kind of like sticks it down so that the pickup cover doesn't move and vibrate. And when it moves and vibrates, that's what the microphonic part of it ends up being, as it moves and vibrates and it acts like a microphone diaphragm. That's why they call it microphonic. So what you can do, if this works, sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. If it works, just take a blow dryer, and it's easier if you can hold the pickup upside down. So I don't know if you want to take it out of the guitar or if you just want to hold your guitar upside down, but just heat the pickup, the face of it, the face of the humbucker, just heat it with a blow dryer. Get it hot, like where when you touch it, you're like, oh, that's hot. Wax that they use in those things usually will melt at about 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's not super hot, but like hot coffee, get it that hot, and then let it cool down, and maybe you will have moved enough wax around to rebond it without causing you any trouble. If it doesn't work, if that does not work, and it still is microphonic at that point, then what you can do is you can take the pickup out of the guitar and take the cover off the guitar, then go in your bathroom and get like the candle on the back of your toilet and just take your pocket knife and shave some shavings and into the cover of the pickup. Stick that back onto the pickup. It helps if it's like strawberry or some kind of spring breeze scent. Anyways, put that on the top of the pickup and then heat that back up and you'll actually have added a little bit of wax in there, and you'll heat that up and melt that and then resolder the cover back on, and that will fix it most of the time. It's not usually microphonic all the way through because the wax doesn't go away from inside the coils, but usually it's parts that have come loose. The other thing you could check before you take it all apart is just because of vibration, maybe the base plate has come loose. So like on a humbucker, you got 4 screws on the bottom that hold the base plate on. So just check that with a small screwdriver, just check and make sure that the base plate is tight. Anytime you have motion in the pickup that is not the strings, you'll have that microphonic situation. So loose parts cause a microphonic pickup. Tighten it all up, take all the gaps out with wax, and it'll quiet back down. That's a really good question. I should do a video about that. I did a video a long time ago where we did that, where we literally just took candle wax and we shredded it and put it into a pickup and heated it up so I could show you like a quick fix for it. But maybe I'll do another video about that because maybe we'll throw it into next week's vlog. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and I'll just use a pickup that I have here and we'll do that. Because that can happen with old stuff. It just dries out, or it gets heat and cold and heat and cold and heat and cold, like it causes problems. So that's a really good one. That's a good question. I got one other question here that I wanted to bring up specifically. We're actually not going to talk about the answer right now. Let me see. Adam, he says that he has a 2001, this is a really cool guitar, by the way, a 2001 Parker Nightfly that he decided to do some mods and put a metal pickguard on it. Unfortunately, he wasn't able, he had some stuff come up and he wasn't able to finish it right away. So when he got back to it, the wiring wasn't 100% right. I'm kind of paraphrasing, it's really long. So it wasn't quite right, and he's having a couple of problems, and he wants me to help him with it. Well, he's one of our $45 patrons that comes to our workshops on the 4th Sunday of every month. So I told him the easiest way, and this is a perfect example of why this is so fun, is I told him to get that guitar ready for the 4th Sunday of February on our live Zoom meeting, and we will go over that because it's really hard to do in like messages or in like a Facebook group sometimes. And it's hard for me to take phone calls to do this kind of stuff too. So this is a great way to do this. So we were chatted back and forth, and I told him bring it and bring that project, and we will make that the subject of that night and make sure we get you squared away. And so anybody else that comes, you bring a project too. Same thing. If you have a problem, something like that, you bring a project to that. Our Patreon hangout on the 4th Sunday of every month. So the 4th Sunday of February. So this month it will be, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 27th. It'll be February 27th, 28th, I apologize. It'll be the last day of the month. So February 28th this month, we are going to have that hangout and solve problems together. I think it's going to be really fun. That question right there is exactly the thing, and that's what makes those things fun. Yeah, cool. So there's a bunch of, those are all the questions I had that actually came in tone wax. So, oh, Leslie dropped me another one. PM Kyle says,
No, PM is the time.
oh, PM Kyle Weber. Hey Dylan, when I hook up on old Fender specs, when I look up old Fender specs, I usually get one number for winds. Would you treat that as an average between the 3 single coils? Honestly, this is an interesting question, because most of the time, everybody since then way overthinks this. And back in the day, everything was the same. So bridge humbuckers and neck humbuckers were the same. This whole output difference between two pickups, that's a perceived thing. That you can make up the difference with just an adjustment, like just to raise it and lower it. In an old Strat, they were all, if you look it up, what is it probably going to say, Kyle? I can't remember, but is it going to say something like 7650 or maybe like 8350, depending on the where you look? I want to say like 7650 winds or something is right around there. That is not how I figure how we make pickups, but if you made them all the same, it would be totally fine. If you want to vary it a little bit, it depends on the wire you use. So, and honestly, you shouldn't wind to a resistance, you should wind to a wind count. So, which I know for a lot of people, but resistance makes no difference. It doesn't make no difference, but it's not the way that you should spec something. What you should do is you should actually spec it by wind count and inductance. That's how I do it. And what I do is I look at the roll of wire that I'm using. Every time I buy a roll, I do this. I wind one pickup, I look at all the numbers, and I decide how I'm going to compensate for it to get it in the spec that I want for my pickups. So sometimes you're going to get a pickup from me that is like the resistance will be like 5.9, 6.1, 6.4 for a Strat, for example. Sometimes you'll get one and it'll be 6.1, 6.3, 6.5. But what you don't realize is the wind count is exactly the same and the inductance is exactly the same, and it's going to sound consistent even though the resistance is a little bit off. And in that situation, I don't like to give up too many of my own numbers, but if you wanted them to be different, like again, it depends on the wire, but I would say, I don't know, 200 winds per pickup difference or something. You could start with maybe and mess with that if you wanted to, but wind to a wind count and inductance. Don't wind to a resistance. For example, my P90s, I don't care what the resistance is. I wind them to the same wind count every time. And actually, my Strat pickups, I do the same thing. I wind them to the same wind count every time. So if you get one, the resistance might be a little bit off because every roll of wire is a different, not a different, it's supposed to be the same, but just because of imperfections and because of tolerances and stuff, the resistance of wire can vary a little bit by the roll. So if I buy a 5-pound roll and I use this for X amount of weeks, and then I run out and I get another 5-pound roll, chances are that came off of the same master roll, but just the way wire is and the way they rewind it and stuff, and it stretches a little bit and whatever, sometimes the resistance per foot can change a little bit, which means that your resistance on your pickup can change a little bit. But once you compensate all that, it comes out the same. All right. That was a really good question. I was always taught that the resistance was the be all end all. Yeah, it is not. It's actually the worst way. It's the worst way. But it's just the way, it's again, it goes back to, it's like flathead screws. It's like, it's what we've been told, so it's what people do. All right. Charles Wallace says, there is a construction company in Kentucky that is 30 plus years old and has never spent a dime on advertisement. It speaks of your volume of your character. Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, I don't buy advertising or any of that stuff. No, I do this. This is what I do. I hang out with you and we talk about it, and those conversations on Patreon and those, you know, these live hangouts that we're doing right now, I think it does better. I think we learn more. And here's the other thing too. I was talking to a guy about this today. Like the difference between like pain in the butt customers and not pain in the butt customers. And what's really fun about this right here is we answer kind of all of the questions ahead of time, so that when you order something, you kind of know what you're getting, or you have an idea, right? And so it makes it to where I have less unhappy people too, because we hang out and we get to know each other, and yeah, it works really, really well. I love it. And you all are, I appreciate all of you because that's how it works. Nick says, your thoughts on acoustic McPherson sound? This dude uses one and I think they sound great. Bright, but great. Okay, so actually I was going to talk about that. Again, getting into some myths and stuff. This is so fun. So this carbon fiber guitar, obviously I could gush about it for hours. It's amazing. It sounds wonderful. It does not sound like it's not wood. It has a unique sound, but it's not, you don't play it and you go, well, it's definitely not wood. It has its own thing, but there's no qualifier. It's just good. What's really funny about it is we did that video. First of all, not very many people watch that video, which I thought was really funny because I thought that was going to be a really interesting thing. I thought it was interesting. And apparently only 1,000 people thought it was interesting so far. And I thought more people would, because there's so much myth with this. Somebody said in the comments today, I just was scrolling through and I saw it, that he said that somebody, that most people think that like higher action is more tone or whatever. You know, like a lot of Tele people and a lot of Strat people will say that. But the majority of the people who watched that video and commented on it said that they liked the lower action because it was mellower and it was less attacky, which I kind of feel like. I kind of feel like too. Now that I've left it in, I left the lower saddle in. As far as the actual acoustic sound of it, it's amazing. It's so good. And even the most diehard people, because I've had a few of my really good friends, come and play it, and even the most diehard guys who are like, anything after 1969 is crap kind of people, will play it for like 20 minutes and then won't give it back. I mean, it's like I have to pry it out of their arms to get it back to them, get it back from them. It's that good. And plugged in, it's good, but I want to change the pickup. It has a LR Baggs LR Baggs Element, and it sounds really good. If you go and watch our M Audio Duo video, the demo and review of that video, I just did it a couple of weeks ago. We play that guitar plugged in, and actually maybe in next week's vlog I'll play that in a video too, because it's super good. But I want the lyric. I want the LR Baggs lyric with the microphone and the undersaddle, and then you can mix them together. So my goal is in the springtime to go to McPherson, and when I do that, I'm going to have them put it in for me. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see. Eric says, the sound of a Strat-based humbucker versus a magnet humbucker. Oh, this is a good question. So, it's going to sound more single coily. Well, duh. So, our Slant 6 is made that way. Our Slant 6 does not have a bar magnet in it. It has... Oh, wait. No, that does have bar magnets in it. I currently do not make a pickup that is pull piece only magnets in a humbucker size. Maybe I should. I did it a couple of times for some custom guitars that we built, and they sound amazing. They lean way more single coil sound, and they actually lean... They're really like a wide range. They kind of sound like a vintage wide range. Not like the reissue ones. Those are just regular humbuckers. But they sound like a vintage wide range. And they're really good. Yeah, really good. Awesome. What else we got, babe? Drew Kane. Why do high output pickups start to sound muddy? And what could be done to make a high output pickup less muddy? Okay, so usually there's two things that you do to make a... Let's talk about how they're made, because how you make them is why they sound the way they do. So there's two things, two factors, in my opinion, that cause them to sound muddy. One is the wire gauge. So the thinner the wire, the higher the resistance per foot. And the thing is not always does the inductance go up. Basically what happens is when you have a really high resistance pickup is that your lows or your highs go away. They just become filtered. The capacitance of the pickup goes up, and it's like turning your tone knob down on your guitar. So the capacitance goes up and they get flatter sounding. And as a result of that, it changes the mid-range, because the mid-range is still there, but when you cut the highs off, it flattens everything out, and then it actually kind of makes the mid-range less prevalent. And so that's why you end up with this kind of muddy mess. The other reason why is because a lot of people want to put high whine count on. And so they'll put, 43 gauge wire, and it'll be like a normal PAF is like 5,000 whines per bobbin. They'll put like 6,500 whines of 44 on there, and it's just a mud ball. It's a total, just a total mud fest. The thing is, and I just want to interject this in here for anybody who's kind of thinking about pickups. People think of high output because they want loud. People think of high output because they want to cut through the mix. They think that they need more output because they can't be heard in a band situation. Or they want it to be louder. I want it hot. Well, the way you get a hotter pickup that cuts through a mix and makes you heard above all your other buddies so that all they hear is your like raging solo is a lower output pickup. Period. That's completely sounds backwards. But the mid-range will be stronger, the highs will be more clear, and the guitar is a vocal instrument, just like a voice, a person's voice. So that mid-range is really, really important, and as that goes away, then you just get lost in a mix. And the higher output pickup will do that. Lower output pickups will appear louder. That is the biggest, one of the biggest things that people will say about what we build, because mostly everything I do is low output, like kind of vintagey style output, maybe a little bit more than that on some stuff. Our center punch is a little bit higher, but the idea is to make that mid-range real strong and to make a lot of good clarity that you don't have to EQ or tone knob or do anything with. that's already there and it's inherent to the pickup, and then it cuts through a mix, and then you can adjust from there and add on to it. But if you have this flat line that you're just trying to put more power, when you turn up a flat line, it doesn't necessarily get louder. So high output is, to me, the wrong way to go unless there's certain reasons for it. It tightens up the compression. So higher output pickups will tighten up compression. That's why, for example, a lot of metal players will play super high output pickups because they want that chug, that you know, like that. They want that, and that will happen better with higher output, but it won't necessarily be louder. In fact, there's a lot of work that goes into a metal mix to make the guitars sound good, because on their own they don't really sound that good. When you listen to you know, if you listen to Randy Rhoads or you listen to Dimebag Darrell, the isolated guitar tracks are crappy. They don't actually sound that good. So they have to do things, double them, and then like move them a couple of milliseconds off of each other to widen them. They got to do a lot of stuff in the mix to make them sound good. You know, there's a lot of those metal tones that aren't actually that good on their own. Yeah, see that, Eric. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks. Wind a sound hole pickup for the McPherson. I probably won't. Well, you can't, because you can't put a sound hole pickup in a McPherson because it doesn't. The sound hole's not under the strings. Yeah, so I guess that wouldn't work. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Drew Kane, is there a reason to have microphonic pickups? Heck yeah, it's called Jimi Hendrix, dude. Yeah, so unpotted pickups are really a thing. There is a thing about, it just depends how you play, but there is a thing about being on the edge of being able to control that, because it'll go away, it'll get away from you and you turn into a squealing mess. Here's the thing, there's a difference between a whistling squeal and like microphonic looseness of a pickup. So nobody wants to squeal. You can't have that. It just is not useful. But a microphonic pickup where a guy can like talk into it and it'll sound like a microphone, you know, really what he's doing is he's talking to the top of the pickup. It's not a microphone, it's a transducer. But what's happening is the top of that pickup is vibrating like a microphone diaphragm in relation to everything else that's going on, and then his voice goes through it. What the fun part about it is when you're on stage and you have a stack of Marshalls behind you and your guitar is a little bit microphonic and you can like hold a note and you can use, I call it secondary sustain. Primary sustain, this is just me. I made this up. It's not anything. I call primary sustain the actual guitar itself. Like the nut is good, everything, you know, you strike a note on an acoustic guitar as long as it rings. I call that primary sustain. Secondary sustain is where, this is just my thing, when you use a compressor or you have some overdrive on and you've created a thing that makes sustain longer, and one of those things is a microphonic pickup, and you can stand in front of this huge wall of amps and you just grab this note and you hold it there, and then you can like stand in front of it and like turn towards it and like cause it to happen more, or turn away from it and it causes it to happen less. Like that is so fun. If you can play in that environment and control that, that's super fun. If you watch somebody like JD Simo do that, he'll play an ES335 in front of a wall of Marshalls, well, just one big Marshall, with no pedals except for a wah, and fight that the whole night. Like, and it is its own thing. It's so cool. But most of us can't play at those volumes and, you know, that in those kind of situations. Awesome. Let's see. Rob, do you prefer Elnico 3 or 5 for Strat pickups? 5. I just like it. So my thing about Elnico 3 is I like 5s because the way they compress. 3s are too crunchy. And that's a stupid word, but they remind me of like the kinks and like slicing a speaker, like that crunchy kind of thing. And I don't like that. I like it to be a little tighter, and I like the clarity to be there a little more. And so I like Elnico 5s. So that's my favorite. 3s to me, I don't like 3s the same reason I don't like a Fender Deluxe amp, or that 5E3 circuit, because I don't like that farty kind of low, crunchy low end. I like it to be a little tighter than that. That's just, it's an opinion, but that's one of my things. All right. Not a sound hole pickup, but a stealth pickup. I thought you demoed a telly with a pickup under the pickguard, something like that. Yeah, I mean, basically that's pretty much what the lyric thing would end up being, because it would be a microphone inside there, and then it would be the transducer. I'm not a big magnetic pickup fan in acoustic guitars. I know a lot of people are. Like the LR Baggs M1 is a really nice pickup. I'm personally not. I personally don't like how it sounds. I hate how it looks. I think it's ugly. Jacob Cruz says, what kind of single coils and humbuckers do you suggest for HSS? Ooh, dude. Check this out. I have right here and actually I'll show all of them to you here in a minute. But we'll answer your question directly. I have a black Bakelite pickguard. So this is just plastic, it's not broken. Black Bakelite, and I got it in a single hum. And this is gonna get classic 5 Strat pickups in the front 2 positions. And in the back is gonna get a center punch. The reason I like a center punch in the bridge position of a single hum is because when you coil split it, it will not volume drop, and it will give you a proper bridge Stratocaster tone. And then here's what I do for you, since you're kind of thinking about this. This is what I would end up doing. I would make the bottom tone knob, we just did a video about this a little while ago. I would make the bottom tone knob for just the bridge, and then I would make the top tone knob for the neck in the middle. Classic 5s here, center punch here, master volume, 500K pots, separate tone knob on the bridge. That is the jam for SSH. That's what this is getting. This pickguard right here, I mean, unless somebody, I'm going to build it up, and then, you know, obviously if somebody buys it, I'll sell it to them, because we do loaded pickguards here. But I got a bunch of pickguards because that white Strat that I bought has the Fender Lifeless pickups in it. So I built this pickguard this week to replace that one. So this is going to have, this is our Strat 5, this is our Classic 5 pickups. These are 250K pots because it's all single. And I don't have any 5-way switches. For some reason I ran out of 5-way switches. But this guitar, this pickguard, unless one of you buys it before it goes in there, you know, that's what happens is I build these up and you know, they sell on the website. So, but this is going to go in the white guitar so that we can do a kind of comparison. So this one and this one, I bought a bunch of pickguards so we could do some like swapping out and pickup testing and stuff. And then I'll just sell them to one of you when you inevitably order them, because they're going to be awesome. So these two, and then you probably saw this on my Instagram today. If you follow me on Instagram, Dylan Talks Tone. Quick plug. There we go. Tortoiseshell, 2 humbuckers. So this is also going to go in that guitar for a short time, and we're going to do some tests with it too. And actually this one is going to go in and out a few times with a couple of different pickups, because I want to share the DAF pickups, the center punch pickups. I don't have enough good demos on my website anymore. So we're going to redo them all, and I'm going to use that white Strat and these pick guards to do that. So stay tuned for all that, because it's going to be super fun. And those demos are going to be outside of the normal schedule. Because these videos are going to live on my website forever, or until I replace them in a few years again, these are not going to be on the normal schedule. So it's just going to be some random Wednesday is going to pop up, and it's going to be a demo of some pickups. So just keep an eye out for that over the next few weeks, because I'm working on that right now. It's going to be awesome. I'm kind of really excited about it. Fred, are you going to do a neck test on the railroad tracks? So I'll tell you something about that. I called McPherson and I said, hey, do you have like a, maybe, I don't know, like an imperfect neck or something that you can send me? And I sent him the video, and he's like, and they're like, yeah, we'd love for you to, that'd be super funny. The problem is that Matt McPherson, the guy that owns McPherson, is really super anal about nothing getting out of there that's not perfect. So he will not even send me like a junk neck just for like a video. He does not want anything imperfect ever to leave their shop. They're super anal about that. So they wouldn't give me one. Otherwise, I was totally going to do it. I totally had a plan to do that video and step on a McPherson neck on the railroad tracks, but it's not going to happen. What I'm hoping will happen, I'd like to go up there, and one of the things I want to tour and do some stuff and make a video about it. But I at that point, I would like to, it would be kind of fun to learn if there's a way that we could talk to them and learn about how they test and how strong that stuff is. If we could get a number for it, like, can you hold up 200 pounds, or, you know, whatever. I think it'd be kind of fun. Eddie Lagos, if I can't find a grounding issue, I suck at electronics, should I just rewire everything? Okay. So, okay. Maybe, but probably not. Probably everything is fine. So let's walk through it really fast. We're going to use this pick guard as our example. Okay, since we have it right here. And we're just going to walk through this super fast. And if you can't get it fixed, our Patreon hangout at the end of the month, like we talked about earlier, that is the jam, because you can bring that there and, like, you know, camera and sound on and everything, and we can walk through it together. Like, literally, it's the next best thing to like bringing it to my shop. You know what I mean? So, and during that thing, we could do that. But let's just go through a couple of basics. One is every pot needs to be grounded in the guitar. Okay, so just one wire can go from, basically, everything grounds to your output jack. So the wire, the black wire, or, you know, the ground wire that comes from the sleeve of your output jack, okay, put it on the back of one of these pots, and then make sure that each pot is grounded to that same wire. Star grounding and all that stuff's a bunch of crap. It doesn't matter. Just connect them. Just make sure they're connected. Ground each one of your pickups. Okay, so the pickups, each pot needs to be grounded. And then your strings need to somehow be grounded. So on a Stratocaster, they're going to be grounded from the tremolo claw, because the tremolo claw is hooked to the tremolo is hooked to the bridge is hooked to the strings. Okay, so the tremolo claw that wire needs to come through the guitar and also be grounded to the back of the volume pot. If it's a Telecaster, the strings are grounded through the bridge itself. So the strings touch the saddles, touch the bridge touches the pickup has a base plate on it that's grounded, so that's grounded. Some guitars do not have metal base plates. So Mexican Telecaster, for example, has an extra little loop of metal that goes up to the screw. What I do is I actually unscrew the bridge and I just run another wire underneath the bridge and ground the bridge. All pots, all pickups, and strings grounded. Now, I don't know what actual situation that you're having with your guitar, if it is actually a grounding issue. We have a video it's probably a year and a half ago now, but it's really good still. It makes sense. And it's about tracking down, I think it's actually called What's That Noise? And it tracks down where the noise is coming from. Some noise is coming from lights and RF and that kind of stuff. Some noise is coming from a bad ground in your guitar. Typically, if a ground is bad in your guitar, something will not work. If everything works and you have noise, chances are it's coming from electromagnetic interference from outside the guitar. 99% of the time, there is not a grounding issue in your guitar causing noise. Unless it's a bad solder. Like if it's a really bad solder, then that could cause that because of differentiation in resistance. But most of the time, if you just check those things that I just said, it's not coming from the guitarist. I wasn't talking to you, dang it. Siri, I was butting in. So yeah, no, very cool. Oh, Ben says I need to watch the wiring videos on Patreon. Yeah, that's another thing. Over on Patreon, all of these live things that we've done, what is there, 14 of them or something? 15, I don't know. There's like 20 hours of video. Once you sign up over there, there are 2 tiers that once you sign up over there, you have access to all of that. And so, I mean, you could knock yourself out for hours. We have tons and tons of content over there that really dives in deep and diagrams and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so I'd burn my house down if I ever tried wiring it. I can barely wire a P-bass. You know, BC Rich, on our Patreon about 3 months ago, one of these live things, we did one and it was really, really fun. And I think if you're a $10 member on Patreon, you can access this because it's in the past. We did a really fun one where we spent some time and I used my computer and a pen and we talked about how anybody can wire a guitar. It is my opinion that anybody can wire a guitar, and understanding, like, be the signal, right? Like, be the sound going through the guitar, and understanding how to follow the signal through the various components and what affects what, to where you could literally draw the circuit on a piece of paper and then transfer that to real wires. And as long as you know how to solder, you can do it. I know you can do it. It's just because it's not electricity, it's signal. There's a difference. It's, you know, obviously it's not going to burn your house down because there's no we're talking 300 millivolts and no amps. So it's not electricity, it's signal. And so just be the sound. Like when I pluck the string, I want the sound to go from here to here to here to here to here and then out the amp. And if you can follow that, visualize that and draw it on a piece of paper, then you can do it. And that whole thing, we really dive into that, and it was really, really fun. Super fun. Hey, Scott. Yeah. I want to be able to do it without a diagram. You know, I look at a diagram every time. You know, when I do a telly, which is the easiest circuit of all, well, it's not, but it is, I Google the diagram every time, even now. And I can do it probably in my sleep. Like, I mean, I could close my eyes and visualize. I still look at a diagram because I want to make sure. I'll tell you what I get mixed up on the telly. On the telly, there's the switch has a jumper wire, and it goes like this down 2 terminals, then it crosses over the other side, and then it goes down 2 terminals. And I can never remember which side it starts on, this side or this side. Well, guess what? It doesn't really matter what side it starts on, but I want it to be right, and so I always check every time. When I do strats, when I do these Strat wiring diagrams, I have a folder, and I think we have it actually over on Patreon. There is, if you go back through the posts, I post all these wiring diagrams. So, but I look at those every time. I have a folder of commonly used wiring diagrams on my computer screen, you know, like on my desktop on my computer, and they'll be like, for a 4-way Esquire, a 3-way Esquire, a 4-way Telly, a 3-way Telly, 4-way Telly, 3-way Telly, phase flip in a push-pull, because I can never remember that one. Strat with a separate tone control like we just talked about. A Gibson circuit, you know, it's like a normal Les Paul setup. You know, some of those things. I keep a folder with all those diagrams on my desktop on my computer, and every time I wire a guitar, I look at them. I do not do it from memory because I don't want to send the thing to, you know, I got a guitar going to Kiev, Ukraine in a couple of weeks, and it can't be wrong. Like, it's got to be right, so I make sure every time. Why do you think that Strat pickups were never wired to the tone control? I don't know. That is an excellent question, and I don't know. I don't know why, because it's the pickup. The bridge pickup in a Strat is the one that needs the tone control. Everything else, you know, yeah, you need it, but so the neck in the middle on one and the bridge on the other, to me, that's the jam. Like, that's what I love. Did you pick anything out of there, hun?
Yeah, you skipped right over me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Walter Pruitt, that one?
Yep.
Have you ever played or owned a Sun Model T? The market for them is about $2,000 to $5,000. Yes, I had a Sun Model T when I was probably, I had to be 30 years ago. I had that, and I had a lawsuit era double cutaway Ibanez Artist, and it was with Seymour Duncan 59s in it. And it was this, yeah, it's 30 years ago, but it was amazing. And that Sun Model T, you had to crank it. You had to crank it up to get it to, you know, get dirty. And real quick, it's gonna screw up my thing. We just got a new patron over on Patreon, probably as a result of us talking about this. So I was just gonna mention him really quick. I appreciate that. I can't bring it up quickly. I'm sorry. But yeah, very cool. Oh, I knew somebody was going to ask me this. In a Les Paul, Sean wants to know, in a Les Paul, do you do vintage or modern wiring, and why? What do you prefer about the one you use? I always do modern because I don't like how they interact with each other with vintage wiring. So if you do, what he's talking about is the way you wire the tone circuit in is different. And I like it Fender style because I don't want the tone control to affect the volume of the guitar so much. I don't like that. The two things I don't like and I don't use are vintage wiring and volume mods, like a treble bleed. The reason people use those is because they want to retain highs as the guitar goes down in volume. And it's like a band-aid of a band-aid, but the problem is that the sound gets so thin when you use them, because anytime you add a filter component in a guitar, you're just taking away signal. You are never, in a passive guitar, not active is different, but in a passive guitar, you are never adding signal to the guitar, ever. Along the way, you're never adding it until you get to your first pedal. So anytime you add a filter, or affect how the filter is hooked up, in the case of the modern versus vintage argument, you just take away more signal from the guitar in various situations. I hate that. I personally, I don't like that. It's is more accurate. I just don't. I don't like it. I think it sounds too thin. And for everybody who says, well, I don't like it when the highs go away when I turn my volume down, so that's why I do it. I like that. I like that dimension of the guitar. I like the fact that you can adjust the knobs on your guitar and completely change how it sounds, therefore not needing a whole bunch of downstream stuff. You know, a Strat or a Tele with normal wiring going into a Princeton with the volume on 6.5 and no pedals, and being able to just turn the volume down if the pickups are good, being able to turn the volume down and those highs go away a little bit and it sweetens up and you get that kind of nice fatter, jazzier sound, and then crank them knobs and rock out. Like if you had a volume mod or vintage wiring, it would completely change that dynamic and you wouldn't have those two different guitars just at the twist of a knob. And I like that. I really, really like that. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see. This is an interesting question. Assuming you use, Rob, thanks for this. This is a weird question. I like this. Assuming you use the appropriate wood and pickups, do you think it's possible to get vintage Fender Gibson tone from a headless guitar? Yeah. Yeah. I do. I mean, everybody knows I'm not a tone wood freak. Yeah, I do. I think you could for sure. I don't, besides the fact that headless guitars are cool looking and are interesting, I don't know what the real reason is for them, but I'm not familiar. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. It would be interesting though. Let's see. The new Fender Esquire uses a 33 capacitor and a 33K resistor in series for the modified Basie circuit. What is the difference in sound between the 33 cap with a resistor in series versus no resistor? It will make it way more woofy. It will be less usable, I guess is the easiest way to say that. Yeah, awesome. You guys, this has been super fun. I think we're already over an hour. Does it look like we got everybody? I think so. I think we got Carlos, I see you there. Rob, Cecil. Oh, I did answer one of Cecil's questions. Let's just run through here. Of course, we got Dennis there. And some new faces too. I didn't get to say hi to everybody here, but I see a few new faces in there, and I appreciate y'all being here. Thanks for the super chat also. And yeah, this is awesome. We've got a new vlog coming out tomorrow. I actually have to finish it and edit it tonight, and it'll come out tomorrow. Talking about pickups, some more pickup stuff. I think you're gonna dig it. So we will we'll do that, and then on Tuesday, what's coming out on Tuesday? Oh, another Strat video. We got another Strat video coming out on Tuesday. We have a bunch of content. I literally have videos like ready to go. So we got a new video coming out on Patreon on Monday. A new video coming out, and for YouTube members. So YouTube members, that little member button down there, wherever it is, you can click that and you get the same access to the early access to the videos and stuff that the Patreon members get. Because I know a lot of people don't care about using like a whole nother platform and all that. So the YouTube member thing is down there as well. So yeah, pretty sweet. Thanks for hanging out, and I guess we will see you tomorrow.